There is somewhat a difference in appearance. My wife had a really interesting idea, and that was that for a while she likes beards. So in an effort to keep a happy home, I grew a beard. Then she said that the different colours of beard would be interesting. And I said, okay. So most people thought it was my idea. No. What happened was I came home and she said, oh, you haven't still coloured your beard. I said, I know. I said, wow. She said, should we colour your beard? I said, yes. Because I thought it was a great idea. And I coloured my beard. And then she said, let's change the colour of your beard. And then my face started to react to peroxide and colours. And so we have a period where my beard is now in a transition stage. It's often a lot like business. In 1 minute you're doing one thing and then you decide to change and do another. And that's really what business is about. You've got to adapt to your situation. And not that my wife is my client, but I need to keep her happy. I can see there's some people with partners and possibly married in there. Good. Right, so my name is Fabian Thorpe. And funnily enough, the last person you heard speak is my brother, Carlos. I'm not going to say who's older because it's embarrassing, but yes. And I didn't know he was coming, so cheers, mate. Now, Pixeloute for me has been a very interesting journey. It has been something where it has taken a brave step for me because historically I've been in a position where, has anyone had a business relationship that didn't work out?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? That see them looks like, oh yeah, like a real relationship. You don't want me to start. No, but isn't a business relationship that doesn't work out, it's like a kind of like a personal relationship, isn't it? Because you put your life and soul into it, and then someone may do something that you may want to put small pins in their eyes. Often, I'm sorry, I'm still recovering, but it really is that situation. And what I found, especially this time around, and having known Leif for years and making the decision to go into business together, was that the first thing we had to do was to develop a strategy. It's kind of like if you decided to date someone and you said, we're going to go counselling before we date because I really can't be bothered in investing time in you for us just to break up for something stupid. It sounds really strange, but the theory of it actually makes sense. So strategy for us is something that's very interesting. Now, whereas in Gary, technical, Leif, creative. Leif is the kind of person that can see a piece of mud and he sees it as beautiful brown with colours and textures. I see it as a piece of mud, how we're going to convert it to money. I'm more the business development side of things. Now, and Leif is going to tell me how to work the slides. Yes, perfect. So how do you make it happen? Theory is really great, and some of the challenges you have as consultants is your clients say, I really do not want to hear anything more about what you think I should do. Tell me how to make it happen. And that's really hard because when you're a consultant or in our space, the key point of us being able to tailor the strategy that you need is a discovery process. I don't need to understand just how you run your business. I need to understand what you think your business is. I can have my own opinion. I can look at it and say, great, so you make cakes. I'm sure the cakes are brilliant. I don't know why you didn't bring a red velvet one today, but I can be like, this is fantastic. But no matter, as a consultant, no matter what I may think you need to do, whatever I'm about to tell you, I really have to understand what is your vision, where you're going, and are you prepared, and are you committed to make the changes to happen? That's one of the challenges that we have, and what's very different with our consultation is the fact that when it comes to clients, we have very strange meetings in this building where we will sit down with a client, we'll talk through them, we'll go through the discovery process, and we'll say no to money. And they'll look at us and be like, yeah, I have a budget, and you understand what I need to do, but you're saying no. And we're saying, the reason why we're saying no is because, and honestly, to be brutally honest, we do not believe you are committed to make the changes you need to do to implement this. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to take your money, I'm going to tell you the changes, you're going to fight with me, and at the end of it, you're going to question the value that I've implemented. So I'm saving the problem at the start. And it's made a profound impact in the way in which we work and the way in which we consult clients, because I would rather have a consultancy with a higher achievement rate Now, the consultancy with great turnover, but 50% of the people aren't sure why they hired me in the first place. So I'm going to give you an example. These three friendly faces are of a claims management company based in Newcastle called Allay Claims. And I had the pleasure of consulting to them over a 3-year period. Now, what's very interesting with this is that this company, I'm going to give you a brief background. So this gentleman here is Stephen Bell, this is Stuart Bell, and this is Andy Stoker. Now, son, dad, best friend of son. So effectively a family business. The business started off with these two in his garage. And what had happened is that they had finished a commodities trading business and they made the decision to say, what are we going to do next? One thing that we're really good at is technology, and we're good at processing. What would be a really interesting business there we could implement technology to processing? So they were taking something they were really good at and they wanted to implement it into a new business field that would improve it. And then they came across claims management. Anyone ever received a text about PPI? Wow, really? And anyone never signed up but still received a text about PPI? Really? Okay, so payment protection insurance is like the word that when people hear they instantly get a migraine until they get a check through the post. Then they're like, actually this is really cool. I want to check for more PPI. So this is what they decided, but back in the day when they started claims management, it was mainly run by solicitors. And solicitors used to basically they basically had the monopoly on the market. I don't want to call them mafia, but any solicitors here? Okay, no, they're mafias. Right, so basically they did, and their processing was very laborious. These were the days when, for one PPI file was like 4 boxes. You'd send a box to the bank would send you a box, and you send another box back, and it was just boxes and boxes and boxes, and the solicitors used to manage it. And Stephen walked into it and said, hold on a minute. I've looked at your process. I can take 25% of the time, automate this process, and we can process these claims for. Because actually, you don't technically need solicitors to do this. And so he created, at first, real-time claims. So real-time claims started in his garage with his sister and 2 of the friends, and a couple of friends that they hired at the time. It grew, and he invested a lot of money into developing the system. As he developed the system, it then got to the stage where he realized that for one solicitor processing a claim, I would say if a solicitor processed 1,000 claims, Stephen, with the same effort and time and money, could process 5,000. Big difference. So very quickly, the automation process made a massive change, and all he wanted to do was claims, claims, claims. He basically created a network which allowed him to have multiple call centers who were calling all of you, asking if you had PPI, and he would then sit as a bridge between the bank. So call centers are here, claim comes in, he processes, gives it to the bank pays you, you pay him fee. That was effectively a really short version of the business model. So the problem was we need more money to process claims because we know how to process claims, we know how to make cakes, we know how to do clothing, we know how to run R&D development projects, but we need more money to process them. So often businesses find this challenge where a little further down the initial stage of when you've come up with the idea, you then come to a kind of critical mass, unless you've had investment in or you've got a clear plan where you work with the money you have to get it as far as you can, and then you say, but if I had more, I could do more. Good, well done, you're still awake. So the problem he faced was we need more money to process claims. And the reason why he said that was because he didn't have enough money to pay call centers to give him more claims so that he could process more because he needed a small amount of people in order to do it. So we identified the problem. Gave me a call. At the time, I was working in Nigeria. Anyone from Nigeria here? No? Anyone ever been to Nigeria? Great. That's funny, the 2 non-Nigerians have been to Nigeria. It was a challenging environment, is what I would say. Love Nigeria, but very challenging. And when I got the call to say, come back to the UK and we need to consult, I think it was 48 hours I was on the plane and I was in London. Still love Nigeria, don't forget that. Right. We then came to the point of, I sat down in front of the management team and said, okay, what are your goals? Our goals are we need more money to process claims. Okay, stop. What have we got written here? Goals are broad-based strategies needed to achieve your organization's mission. So I said, okay, that's fair enough, that's a goal. The broad goal is that I need more money so that I can buy more claims, so I can process them, so I can get more wins, so I can make more money. I understand that, but that's not where it ends. I can't write you a solution based on your broad-based goals. There are other stages which we need to consider. Next step, well, what are your objectives? Our objectives are, we need to make more money. No, that's not quite it. I've got your goal, but let's be clear on the objectives. Objectives are specific, measurable, action-orientated, realistic, and time-bound strategies that achieve the organization's goals and visions. In other words, you've given me the goal of the money you make, but now we have to drill it down strategy-wise. So they are specific. You want money. What kind of money do you want? Do you want someone to give you a gift and walk away? How much money do you want? Is it measurable? What kind of return are you going to give the investor? Is it action-oriented? Is there transparency to this money? Are they meant to send the money and then run away and come back to you in 5 years and say, did it work or didn't it? Are you being realistic with the amount of money you want? And is it time-bound strategies? Is there a specific period of time where an investor will be able to see it? The reason I'm mentioning this is because a lot of times small businesses have they struggle with the idea of no one wants to listen to them about money. But what I have to say is this, the same with what Leif spoke to you about empathy, you really have to share more empathy for the people who are going to part with their money and give it to you. You need to think about them. Think about, listen, they're not in your brain. They don't know how long or how passionate, and they're really happy about your passion. But your passion's not going to pay the returns. It's your hard work. So you have to step out of your shoes into the shoes of the person with the checkbook and decide what are the objectives that I am going to address that is going to stop them and make them decide fundamentally, do I like cakes? Don't I like cakes? Can I invest in this load? Cannot. Do I like beds? No, I don't. It's fundamentally those key points which you have to look at. I just picked on people I know and what businesses they have. So we hit on objectives. Next up are the tasks. So after we went through that discovery process and we sat down and they decided, okay, how much money do we want? We want, please do not be alarmed by the figure. I'll explain at the end. We want £20 million. I said, right, now what are you going to do with £20 million? Well, with £20 million, it gives us enough money to fund the call centers, to give us the cases, to process them, to pay them their fees, and also allows us to grow so that within 2 years we can pay back the £20 million and we'll have £20 million ourselves. Of course, I started to listen very quickly because I said, if you need £20 million, you can make it in 2 years. I really want to know what kind of business this is. And I said, well, demonstrate to me what it is that you can do. And the financials were there, the forensic accountant was there, and they proved the concept of the seed investment they had in 07, 08 and how they had grown it to a critical mass stage. And I said, okay, tasks. Tasks are specific, actionable events that are assigned to individuals, departments to achieve. Now here's the thing, what is really challenging when it comes to businesses and small business. Do you know that it's really hard for business owners to realize sometimes that they are not the best person to run their business? Strange, but true. For example, I know that as much as I did attempt and did not complete my SEMA management account course, and as much as I did learn bookkeeping, I am not a good accountant. It's hard because I studied it and it was annoying, and I did it at Moorgate with BPP Hyperion, and I remember how much it cost because it came out of my salary. But the fact is that it's much better giving it to a qualified accountant. So when you are going to assign tasks in your business to implement your strategy, be honest with yourself as to whether you are the best person for the task that is assigned. Just because you're the business owner doesn't necessarily mean that you are the best person for the job. And it takes a serious business owner to step back and say, do you know what? You would actually be better at this. As much as I'm passionate about it, I'm going to step aside. I'm going to let the accountant tell me whether my figures work right. You understand marketing better. I'm going to step aside and let you design the presentation. You understand sales. I'm going to step aside and let you do the presentation. You have to be selfless in business when it comes to designing and implementing your tasks. This isn't faff, it's facts. And the reason being is that when you're sat in front of someone who has a checkbook, they're going to look at you and they're going to quickly assess whether or not they are comfortable with the person driving the ship. And that's the bottom line. Many businesses do not get investment simply because the person likes the idea but is not comfortable with the individual. And you have seen that in Dragon's Den time and time again. Great business, makes money, sorry I'm out. But why are you out? Because I know I couldn't stand 2 board meetings with you, much less 1. Implementation. So after we went through the objectives and after we designed what we did and we decide who in the company was meant to do what, who would be responsible for what, who would be, and we fought and we wrangled and it was okay. The next stage was, once the plan had been outlined, a tactical strategy is built that prioritizes, maybe we should have bolded and made that like 30 times, initiatives and aligns resources. One of the key challenges you will face in your business is learning how to prioritize what needs to be done first. The challenge is that when you know at the end of the month bills coming out, most people prioritize, we need to sell, we need to sell, we need to sell. Because I need to pay, I need to pay, I need to pay. But the challenge is that we completely look past infrastructural things which need to be done to our business in order to make that change. For this business, one of the challenges they had is that the same people who started the business when there were 5 people in a garage were now the managers of a company that had 100 staff. Challenges. Challenges in there is that loyalty overrides productivity. We're family, we're friends, you were there at the start. So I'll tell you what, because you at the start used to bank the checks, I'm going to make you the head accountant. And because at the start you answered the phone, I'm going to make you the customer services manager. And because at the start, you know, you locked up the office at the end of the day, you're now the facilities manager. And that's what happened. Everybody got these titles, but they were never qualified for them because they started as small business. As your business grows, your personnel changes. Your requirements change. In order for you to make that another step, you have to be in a physical position to be able to say, do you know what? You've been with us from the start, but I'm going to need to get someone experienced to come in and take over this role. But I tell you what, loyalty says you will work with them to learn the job. I'll never forget. I always tell this story, and if you've heard it before, sorry for you. When I left college, and I was working my first job was in the post room at a company called Open Interactive. And whilst I was there, I befriended the Australian head of finance. And I'd get her coffees, I would bring the Financial Times freshly pressed for her in the morning, and yeah, I used to press the paper, but it was the fresh one, and she was the first one to get it. And she then allowed me to come out of the post room and get a job as an accounts assistant. Accounts assistant, what I love about jobs is that it sounds really great, but what I did is that I stamped receivable on every invoice that came in. I scanned them, and then the accountants did the work. But hey, I assisted the accounts. I was an accounts assistant. And let me not forget that polyester neck suit that I bought with the shiny tie. I wore it with pride every day on the train because I didn't realize that most people that wore suits on the train weren't necessarily the highest paid in the city. But I learned that later. Anyway, so as I kind of understood and looked in relation to implementing and looking at that, I never forget this. I went for a job, I got a call, I was temping, and at the time, I went for a job at a bank called JP Morgan. Now, the division that I applied to get into, the division that I applied to get into was Structured Products Middle Office, and the entire team were Cambridge and Oxford graduates who not only were qualified accountants, but they were ACA qualified. And if you understand accountants, ACA is like putting needles through your eyes again. It's not as simple as others. So I was like, okay, now bearing in mind, I didn't go to university. I was college A-level and a very clever, nice HND, which I managed to somehow do. So I went through interview 1, I nailed it. Interview 2, I scraped through. Interview 3 was the boss, and the boss was extremely Irish. I can't remember his name, but for this purpose, we'll call him Mr. Irish. So Mr. Irish sat down in front of me, and he said, he looked at my CV and he was smiling, and I sat there, I had my pink tie with my slightly light blue shirt. That time it was very fashionable. And I said to myself, right, and he said, he said, do you have any questions for me at the end of the interview? And I said to him, well, you know, if I was to start, when would it be? And he said, you know, fundamentally, there's one thing I've got as a problem. And have you ever seen Columbo? And what does Columbo do when he knows he's He goes, just one more thing. So I thought I'm done. And he said, just one more thing. He says, how? His question is this, only one question. He says, how did you get to this stage of it? I was like, I'm not quite sure what you mean. So he goes, I don't know how you got here because you do not know what you're doing. I don't know how you got here. And I turned into a small object, child. I was like, you know when you have been found out? And I was like, would you like me to leave? I don't need to continue this conversation anymore. I can go now. And he said to me, he said, and this is what he said, the sheer fact you've got here, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 3 months to learn the job. Wow. At the end of 3 months, I'll have to give you a permanent contract. So if you don't do it, you're gone. If you do it, let's see what happens. And this was a secret between him and I. So I walked into this office and I sat down at this desk with all of these accountants and Oxbridge graduates and stuff like that. And within 8 weeks, I learned a job. And he pulled me into the office and he said to me, not bad. Not bad. But what I'm saying to you is that I understood that in order for implementation was key. I understand my strategy, I needed a job. How was I going to implement it? Well, the first thing I did is I put myself next to the smartest person on the planet. I befriended them. And then, as you know, in banking culture, everyone gets in at 7, everyone leaves at 10. I had to get in at 6, I had to leave at 11. But I understood what it took to make that commitment. So despite having the objectives, despite having the goals, despite knowing what you want to do, if you mess up this stage, there's no business for you. And this is why I often say to people, business isn't for everyone. And that's not being disrespectful. It's just that sometimes we prioritize things differently. There may be sometimes you are better as a team player than a business owner. But there's nothing wrong with a business owner getting someone better to run his own business, but that can carry his vision through. All of the big business people do it. Come on, when was the last time Richard Branson drove a train? Or flew a plane. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so we hit implementation, fill it up. Then, the key point, analysis. So it says, during implementation of a strategic plan, it's critical to monitor the success and challenges of planning. This is kind of like when you write a business plan. I guarantee you, has anyone been in business over 5 years? Okay. How many times have you done a business plan that year in, year out has stuck to exactly what actually happened? I haven't been in a business where the business plan I haven't analysed businesses where the business plan falls in line. Because it doesn't. A business plan is kind of like a manual. You kind of read it once and you think to yourself, fine, I know how to work this machine. The challenge here is analysis makes your business plan organic. Your business plan must breathe. So things change, times change, VAT changes. We may be Brexiting right now. We're already affecting change. Aldi food starts to cost more now. I don't even notice that, but it does. They don't have those nice 99p stuff that they used to. I know. I've got 3 kids. Trust me. We eat Marks and Spencer's every day. But you understand these changes. And the reason why is because they are analysing the cost of food and they're implementing the change on you now before in 2 years' time when rice goes up. It's constant analysis, constantly growing, constantly developing. And this is why when I sit down in front of a client, they say, well, what do you do for me? I say, the best way we can sum up what we do at Pixeloute is we like to focus on the things that you may not have the expertise to focus on so you can drive your business forward. That's the easiest way that I can explain it. And our clients are very varied because people want to focus on their business and it can be completely different fields. Yesterday we met someone who wants to start a perfumery brand. Next week we have to meet someone that wants to develop an app that I can't talk about because we signed an NDA. Just remembered. So, just want to emphasize what I'm saying. This is recording. So, that was so close. That's when I know I need to wrap up. Okay, so analysis is really important and key for the way in which we push forward our business. Now, how did the story end? Well, after we went through the project, we identified a European hedge fund that agreed to give them the 20 million quid. We sat down, we went through meetings. The process started in August. It should have been wrapped over by November. It is now December the 18th. We still do not have an agreement in principle. And on December the 22nd, the hedge fund turned around and said they're not giving us the money. Now, as the one of the principal members on that investment team, it was coming up to Christmas, and you can imagine what plans I had made in mind for my commission that I would have earned on raising that money. I then had to go home to said wife and say, darling, this Christmas is going to be lean and not bountiful. Interestingly enough, after we got through a very lean Christmas, one of the companies which we had spoken to, based out in America, gave us a call and said the following: we've read through, we understand the claims business. Why? Because in America, you can claim for anything. Yeah. You literally just claim as you go. There's some people who professionally claim as they go. And so their claim, their maturity in the claim market is way more advanced than the UK and the European maturity in the claims market. So we had sent the proposal to a US hedge fund. The US hedge fund came back and said to the business, listen, the challenge we have here is that we only invest a minimum of 500 million. I said, well, this will be pocket change. It's only 20. He said, no, you don't seem to understand. We cannot sign this off to our investors because of our goals and our objectives and our strategy. And now we're going to implement a plan which doesn't work. You see, even people with money have rules. They have goals. They have plans. They have implementations. So people, the person with the check is governed by the same rules you are governed by with your business. And that is why empathy is the key and underlying factor in everything we do at Pixeloute. Because when you put yourself in someone else's shoe, the game is way easier. So the challenge was, we then had to restructure the business plan, and as a result, instead of receiving a cash investment, we received what was called, I'd say, a well-structured overdraft of £100 million. Since then, the business has gone from being 150 staff, they currently have 350, and you've heard of flight delay compensation? Well, this is their brand airfare, and you may see it on certain terrestrial digital TV channels as adverts. So, in the long or short of it is this: getting it done is simply based on how you implement your strategy and who it is in your organization that's doing the job. This is now really strange, you may hate me for saying this. There is no shortage of money for businesses. There isn't. There are clients upon clients upon clients. Successful businesses understand how to prioritize what they do. The difference between existing and growing is how you develop your strategy. Thank you.